There it is. There it is, my probably most favorite German fighter of all time. Oh, hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, by the way. The Focke-Wulf 190C, yeah, I absolutely like this plane, but a little bit for all the wrong reasons, because it's a really odd plane and very untypical for, how you usually experience German Focke-Wulfs or even Bf-109s at this battle rating, at this tier. Now, this plane is rather unique with a four-bladed propeller and a very cool cooling system underneath the fuselage. It is kind of a mixture, a hybrid between a P-51 in terms of the cooling system and the four-bladed propeller probably taken from a Corsair in terms of raw look, added to the fuselage that is very similar to a D series. The armament itself is not bad, but very weird in its placement, despite what you see in the X-ray. And I think a little bit of the stuff that you can see is rushed when it comes to this. And I'm not quite sure, but I'm quite sure that either they copy and pasted the flight model from another nation's plane, but I don't know which one, but I like it. And it is really strange. The plane has no ground pounding capabilities except the gunfire power, and it is not a great diver nor a great climber, but it is quite cool when it comes to turn fighting under the right circumstances, and this is very important. So, the first thing that I want to show you is the armament. So we have to talk here about two 7.92mm machine guns. I prefer them personally to the 13mm because they just have similar or sometimes even better damage output, and two 20mm with 500 rounds. So you're a very typical basic gun array for the Germans. So the two 20mm are in the wing roots and the two 7.92s are on top of the engine cowling, right? Right? Okay, look, here it is in the X-ray. 20mm, 20mm, MG, MG. Now, I'm not quite sure what's going on. If I have forgotten to take any pills that I should take, of which I don't know anything, probably yes. But honestly, look at this. Do you see what I mean? It's really strange, right? It's really strange. The next thing is we have no armor whatsoever, not even the pilot seat, which usually might provide a little bit of protection. And also the plane is not really that flammable since there are no fuel tanks in the wings, and just if you hit the main fuselage then there is a chance of hitting anything. Then we have a BMW 801 D12, a D2 12-cylinder inline. It doesn't really feel powerful. Climbing and acceleration, and even acceleration in a dive, are really poor. But the plane can turn. And it doesn't have a rudder lockup, it doesn't have an elevate authority problem. However, at very high speeds, we're talking about 700, 800 and 800 plus kilometers an hour speed in a very sharp dive from very high altitude, which is the only way that you can reliably achieve those speeds, it rolls from the left and to the right like a BTD-1 destroyer. So I don't know where they took the flight model from. Maybe from the BTD-1 destroyer. That might sound reasonable, but this is not a normal fighter flight model. However, the precision, the lack of rudder and elevator problems make this plane precise, and this is what I want to explain to you. Now, take the following things with a grain of salt. Since I actually have played this only for 18 battles, and where is it? Come on. I have to search it. There we go. So, 18 battles, 72.2% win ratio, and I only died 6 times. And 1 or 2 times it was a bailout because I couldn't be bothered with the battle because the last enemy was running and I was, not really comfortable in going back for several minutes to the airfield and then blah blah blah. And I received a lot of kill stealing, and yet despite all this nonsense, I have an amazing kill to death ratio of 5.5. Now, I don't want to bang here on the kill to death ratio and the win ratio. It's a German thing. Hell, even with those very, very bad flight models that the D13 has, you have a reasonable kill to death ratio and win ratio. So, it's just an allied team thing to just throw themselves at you one at a time, first with the bombers, then the attackers, and then the fighters that come at you one at a time without teamwork at low altitude. Nobody bothers to climb, therefore the high win ratio. But that all aside, stop it, show us what the plane can do. Well, one thing before this is a 5.3 fully fledged out premium. It earns you the same amount of silver lines as the D13 and has better handling, is more fun, and this is why I think this plane is really cool. But it is slow. Cool, slow, but can turn. Yeah, it's really strange. Okay, let's have a look at it. So the following scenes are now a little bit of a kill compilation, I admit, but at the same time you just can see the overall performance of the plane. The first scene is also a bit of a point out that I could steal here this F8-1B. He actually plunges entirely to the ground, but I actually try to help here my teammate in the background versus this other F8F. Here I go actually upside down and just watch how the plane handles. Just working. Yes, it rolled a little bit around, but not as hard as with other planes. I will make here a lot of reference to the rudder lockup and to the also weak elevator of all the other Focke-Wulf 190 variations, including the TARS, as well as the Bf 109s of higher battle ratings. So I know I get a lot of flack for pointing this out, but the pure fact is, battle after battle after battle, I got kills that looked as simple as this one versus this Tempest, where you think, okay, what's the point? Yeah, but I got those kills. Battle after battle, scene after scene, it just was reliable at doing this. Very often I also misaimed just simply, or the plane just sparked one of my shells. That can happen as well. But as a overall general impression, this plane has smooth handling. It doesn't have the problems with the instructor. And that is just such a massive, massive plus point. However, I have to point out, don't get carried away by the following scenes, especially the showcase versus the Russians. The overall theme is, positioning is everything, teamwork is everything, but then the plane rewards you. And I think if I would have faced an equal opponent in terms of overall strategy that would have bothered to climb, to stick together, to just simply not go at low altitude in one versus many, I would have come off worse. But again, the smooth handling is just such a relief. But then I have to say, it's again nothing that another plane could not do, such as the P-47s, the Corsairs, and many other planes of other nations. But you can go into this dogfight and just turn with the enemy and correct your aim and stay on target for a time that allows you to get the shells in. Now let's have a look at the overall dive characteristics. I climbed here on Norway, which is very cool, quite literally, so that actually you don't have to fight the engine overheat issues, which you have to deal especially on warm maps such as Sicily. Please notice here the acceleration. I don't feel that this is a very frantic acceleration, that this is a very good acceleration. And plunging down from a distance of 3.5 kilometers and only reaching 820 kilometers per hour, and then rolling around like a BTD-1 destroyer with having the luck of the P-47 flying into my shells, and then losing that amount of speed that quickly, even flying in a straight line, that's just really rough. A Focke-Wulf D series could retain the speed. I have to say this. And so this feels more like an A series, even lower, like an A1. And then we have the scene about the Wyvern turning in. I get a critical hit in, which is great, and then just look at this loop. Again, something untypical for a D13, a D12, although it has improved recently. But still, the precision, the smoothness of the aim and the plane following through your commands gets you kill after kill after kill if you bother to climb. You have to overcome the rather low climb rate. Like here, I'm actually at the similar altitude than the P-51s and other planes, and there I can choose to engage, to go into head-on, to roll out of the way like I would do it with a Focke-Wulf, but I actually can get in the kills, and this critical hit, in my opinion, with my playstyle, with my experience, would have been impossible at this speed versus all other with all other D series, which I want to compare this plane with. And similar with the BF-109s, obviously. So we got the first kill. Let's see if we follow it through. Nice micro freezes here, Gaijin. I love this. But I get rewarded here with an explosion on the second P-51. And without any fear, with a damaged plane, I go here versus this P-47. And again, I have to point this out. I'm more confident in this plane being damaged than in an undamaged, fully upgraded Tech 3D series, including also the D13. This is how tragic the status of those planes are when it comes to the fine tuning, the fine aiming. And I'm not sorry for saying this, but I think this is a bit of premium event vehicle bonus. Overall it feels a bit like a buffed BTD-1 flight model. You could see the rolling at higher speeds, or I experienced it. I was zoomed in so you couldn't see the wobbling around of the plane in the Norway scene. But this is just how it works out. Now let's see how this works out versus an F4U that's actively evading. And this was not just a one-time off. So this is a selected scene, yes, but it is a scene that just shows what is more to expect from this plane. And you can see I can turn with him here with the takeoff flaps deployed, which are actually your combat flaps. That was a lucky hit, but he never had the chance to get away, to just turn out of the way and me being able to follow it through. Like again with the with the D12, D13 and D9 that just stiffen so up and just have their good turning capabilities, if you will, at very high speeds of 600 plus kilometers an hour, which is a rather rare speed to engage the enemy, even with those super props, or in this super prop area. Now, if you throw all out of the window, if you don't bother to climb, if you fly directly into the hordes of enemy spacefires, or P-51s, P-47s, you name them, you will get taken down. But this plane fits the German playstyle of the swarm tactic, of going in together, bothering to climb, and taking on the enemy's swarm versus one multiple times, and then dealing with the attackers, and before that probably with the bombers, all at all time trying to keep the advantage. This plane fits so well in there, and I think in similar situations this plane behaves just simply better than a D13 or D12. Very often people say, yeah, but I have such a high diving speed in my D12 and D13. And again, this is a personal opinion from personal experience. This is of no use, because up until you reach that top speed, you're already dead. Or then the enemy is just simply above you, and you will never come back to the same altitude and never be able to actually climb back to altitude to have that advantage. In those situations, this is just a plane that works better. So again, a nice hit here on that Spitfire, and look, he is completely oblivious, making it easy for me to follow, but look that he is so much faster, and teamwork and baiting is just so important. And then he climbs, just offering the full profile of his plane in a climb. Those are the easy kills, but those easy kills, those seemingly easy kills, again, are so much more difficult in a D12, D13, D9, you name them, despite them better having stats at a similar battle rating. Now, again, here we have a guest. Maybe you can see him in the background. It's Jenga. He's also a very experienced pilot, especially more pilot than a tanker as far as I'm aware. Little side note, I tried to do a video with him for over years now, and it never worked. He had personal time problems, I had personal time problems, then there were technical difficulties, and we just missed each other very often. So Jenga, I'm sorry that it didn't work up until this point. Hopefully in the future it will work. Now here I'm in a very interesting situation that I don't want to end up. I have a Spitfire Mark 9 above me and the 82 is coming in. So I see at the very last moment that the Spitfire pulls up, and then I'm actually there where I don't want to be, in the gun sight of an 82. But I have enough elevator authority to easily dodge him, additional with the rolling, but you can see how dangerously he is pulling in. Then I see that an ally is behind me, so I need to bait him, and I'm playing a little bit with him. And nice micro freezes here, Gaijin. This is helping out a lot. And this is where the 82 now has a problem with the roll rate. The other Mark 9 got killed by another Focke-Wulf, and now the 82 is under attack by... No, it was a Kia 84. Sorry about this. Yeah, the preview window where you actually do the commentary, or where I do the post-commentary, is so much smaller. And then, finally, the 82 got deleted. Again by the Kia 84, which is a very powerful plane. But defensive flying is just so much better to do with this plane. Another scene here is the Spitfire. That's the last kill. That's the last kill scene before we go into the grand match versus the Russians. And there you can see, again, it's the typical German picture. Boom and zooming the Spitfire one after the other, up until he just comes to a point where you get an easy deflection shot on him. And I think this plane is doing so much better at this than, also Bf-109. You do this micro corrections. However, I have to admit that I still have this muscle memory to constantly correct with A and D, because the mouse correction is just so bad. I got here even a hit in on this P-51H and put him under pressure. He now needs to climb, and let's see how this works out for him. He wants to go after the other Focke-Wulf. And just before I can do anything effectively about him, he flies through my shells. But another Focke-Wulf 190 comes in and executes him spectacularly. It's the German teamwork that makes this plane excellent. The overall handling characteristics then just are the cherry on top. By itself, in a 1 vs 1, the plane is mediocre for this battle rating. And particularly, the final nail in the coffin for the direct 1 vs 1 is the lack of energy retention in conjunction with the lack of climb rate. That just kills the plane. So here we are now facing the Soviets. I cut out the climbing phase for you so that you have a bit more enjoyment. And while I kill here the I-185, I just simply couldn't defend here my G55 that committed into the head-on. That was an easy kill, but again, the smooth handling allowed me to get this kill. And now I'm above the enemies, and this is where you want to be. And now prioritize the enemies, wait to make the safe shots. That was a bit of unlucky aim. Now we have this good Soviet maneuver called a corkscrew, and I don't follow him there. While the plane is good, it's not that good. Know your limits, but then it actually pays off. I see another Yak-3 coming in, and then evasive actions, and we actually can get out of the way, out of the attack run from this other Yak-3P. So, which Yak-3 could we go for? And again, it's this prioritization of the targets that is so vital, that is so important. And then we got a hit in, but again a corkscrew maneuver here rolls out of the way, and there is no way you can follow through with this aircraft. But you don't have to. Make another vertical loop and transfer the speed into potential energy, then go into a slide dive. Again here another potential kill steal that would have been easily possible on this Yak 3, but he was in a flat spin from the damage of the G55 anyway. The other way, now this is very often the case where I just couldn't microcontrol. We get a single hit in, and that's all that it takes, and that was a beautiful, beautiful, satisfying kill here. Yeah, some of the kills I could have gotten with the D series and A series, make no mistake, but the sheer confidence that you get from this plane is just a different ballpark, if you will. It's just a different experience. I have to say it feels almost like a buffed BTD-1, if I have not said it already, in terms of top speed, but it still has the same rolling issues at higher speeds, where you actually can roll yourself into the ground if you don't manually correct with A and D and be constantly on the keys. So AFK diving, if you will, in the long run is not possible. The plane just would flip out of control under special conditions. It's not something that you will experience in a normal battle. And there you can see even the climb rate, even the top speed at at level is just not the greatest. The BE6 is pulling away from me. The plane is slow. The plane is slower than the D series, make no mistake. Good positioning of your AI units and another beautiful micro freeze makes the overall gameplay experience just complete. Thank you, Gaijin. That was sarcastic, by the way. BE6 succumbs to the G55S, and then let's see what we can do about the LA7. We don't have the highest of speeds, but the precision of the handling, again, a few hits are enough to get the third kill. And now we actually go against the last enemy, that is the LA7. Again, please notice here the acceleration and the energy retention. I'm coming from above while the LA7 actually had an encounter with a Ju-288C. I still have enough ammunition, so this is a big plus point to the armament. It's kind of the standard Focke-Wulf armament of 220mm and either another cannon or 2 machine guns. And I think that's just all you need, to be honest. You have no cast potential, to be honest, so no rockets, no bombs at all. So this actually makes this plane very nice in RRB to use, or you kind of don't have any alternative. Maybe you can use this plane as anti-CAS. And by the way, here in this loop I should have dropped the speed, so I would have dropped into faster. And again, the correction in the dive at lower speeds allowed me to correct my aim, my pitiful initial aim, and set him on fire. So he is doomed anyway, still I follow through. And again, it's just this touch better. And again here the overhead handling is again a bit more precise, a bit better. No interference from the instructor, no rather unsurprisingly stupid lockups of the elevator, rather interference of any system that kicks you out of the flight path that you want to go in or that you are already in, makes this plane, just for a German plane, very, very smooth to handle. I like that. I know that there is a little bit of personal opinion involved here, but this comes from my previous experience with other Focke-Wulfs. I think I showed you the stats in the beginning. I think I showed you now the splitting of the armament, which makes no sense whatsoever. Now let's have a look at the results to show what the premium bonuses are alike with this plane. And then we can see 118,000 silver lines without any special boosters or any special awards. And then also 16,300 modification research points. First in team with 4,490 score points, mostly down to the 13 ground targets that we also farmed. So, what is the final verdict of this plane? I think it is a solid tier 4 premium that you could get for free. It is not a copy-paste, it is a unique thing. However, when I compare overall the handling characteristics, the smoothness of the flight model, this is a very untypical German plane in this respect. It is a good tier 4 fighter with a full premium award. I personally would love to get this as well. It is still something unique, but not totally different. But it's also not more of the same. That just makes no sense whatsoever. I cannot give you a value for this plane, since it always depends on what do you already have. Is this your first German premium? This and that. There are so many factors that make an actual plane or tank valuable for one player more than for the other that already has some alternatives. But I think when you compare it to the D13, that is so similar to the D12 and the D9, this is so much different and it's just so much more rewarding. I showed you the stats initially versus the D13 that I played like 10 times more often, and still I think the D13 is not a bad premium by itself. It's just a case that this wobbling makes the big difference. But again, nothing too special if you compare it to other nations' aircraft. Having said this, which is debatable, let me know in the comment section what you think, if you regret getting this plane, or if you will sell it, or if you want to buy it on the marketplace anytime soon, and what you would be ready to pay for it. Finally, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves and on the battlefields and in the skies of War Thunder.